Big Co, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Like you said, there's the FFPC rookie draft weekend is a great time. Thankfully, it wasn't on Mother's Day this weekend. They spared us that one. But I got a bunch of rookie drafts still to go, and I know you do too. So this is really good exercise for anybody out there that doesn't have a rookie draft yet, but it is definitely applicable for anything that's already done. Is a lot of these trades that we're going to talk about here could go either way. The stuff that I like to pick out to talk about is I don't really want to talk about anything that's like a landslide in either direction. I want to talk about something that's kind of 50-50 and up the middle. And that's like you were saying, in the drafts that I've been in already, and a couple of them on Sleeper that are not FFPC, like a Tyler Warren has a 5-6 pick range. Colston Loveland
Right.
has a 4 to 5 pick range. Travion Henderson has a 3 to 4 pick range. And so the people that are so staunch, it's like, well, this Tet has to go here, or Travis Hunter. Like in my FFPC leagues, Travis Hunter went 1-5 two times in Superflex, and he went 1-4 in a one quarterback league.
Mhm.
And maybe twice. So I think I saw him at 1-4 two times and 1-5 two times. So like anybody that thinks Travis Hunter has to go at the 1-2, like he obviously is not going at the 1-2 in every draft. I think Omarion Hampton went at 1-2 in almost every draft. Cam Ward was a 1-2.
Yeah. That's pretty much one of the only substitutes I've seen for 1-2 outside of Hampton. So that one's pretty consistent, as is Ward, right?
Mhm.
In Superflex tight end premium.
Yeah.
And so last year I had, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 tiers before I got out of the first round, right? And this
Mhm.
year I might have 3, and 2 of them are the tight ends, and then one's Genty, and then the one's kind of the rest of the guys, right? And maybe that'll shift and change as this process moves on a little bit. Maybe there'll be a third, other tier added in between those guys. But right now, I don't. You can kind of pick your style and what you need and what you like.
Well, like with the FFPC stuff, you got all of them that are starting on Saturday. They did stagger them where they don't start all at like 9:00 in the morning anymore, all at the same exact time. It's like a shotgun start, like a golf tournament, if you will. But it's fun. It makes it they're more fun when you don't know what the 1-4 pick is going to be, right? The lack of consensus on this rookie class has made these rookie drafts so much more fun. You don't know if somebody's going to sneak.
You got a chance, right?
Yeah, you don't know if Emeka Ibuka is going to come in there sneaking up at 1-7, or if he's going to be on the board at 2-2. And it's a lot of fun what happens, and Trey Harris was an early pick in one of my leagues, and then he drops into the middle of the second round in one of my leagues. So it's just like you're all over the place. And so the trade up, trade down is a lot of fun this year with these rookies, because you can have your opinions and they're going to be a lot different than your league mates. And depending on what, kind of avenue they take for advice, or who they listen to, or, what podcasts they listen to, or who they click on Twitter and all that fun stuff. And it's a fun rookie draft season, as it always is, man. It always is. That's why I'm glad we were talking about it 6 months ago when everybody was talking about the 2025 rookie draft picks not being worth anything. We were steadfast. We never ever wavered, and that second round is full of good players, fun players. We don't know who, if they're not any good, they're not any good, but they're fun, and handful of them are going to be real fun.
Yeah, which makes when I'm in the first round or second or third, right? It makes it so I'm not throwing as aggressive offers in because I don't know whose guy is who, right? So this guy might be willing to do a deal and move back 2 or 3 spaces because he sees it the same through here. So I don't have to get quite as aggressive unless it's the 101, right? Where we know there's a big, tier, and maybe the 102, but I mean, it's still like it's a lot cheaper right now to move around in some spots. And you can get people who love Harvey, you can get people who love Judkins, you can get people, and it's, they're not going to move past a certain point, or it's going to get expensive. But that's what's fun, is you don't really know. I felt like the last few drafts were pretty chalk, at least within like 2 or 3 picks, right? And here I feel like we're kind of all over the place. So let's take a look at some values. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on the 101 here. Basically just, if you have Genty or the 101 at this point, like, just don't sell cheap because for some reason you're down on him. If you're down on him personally, there's plenty of people who are not. So
Definitely.
just don't do anything silly, right?
Well, I think the only thing that somebody could say I'm down on that guy is if you're not a Raiders fan, right? Like if that's the way you play your fantasy football and he's a Raider and you don't want anything to do with him, that's tough in Dynasty. That's a lot easier to play that in redraft way and say, no, I'm not going to. I'm Chiefs all day, baby. Screw the Raiders. Like in Dynasty, it's hard to play like that. So the first trade that we got here for the 1-1 involves obviously super flex. You get CJ Stroud, 2027 first round pick, Jerry Jeudy, Dalton Kincaid. So does it have to look like exactly like that? No, but like you get a top end quarterback, not like Josh Allen top end quarterback, because otherwise you'd be probably adding to it. But CJ Stroud, an anchor for your quarterback position, 2027 first round pick, even though it sounds like it's forever from now, like that's all of a sudden the holy grail with, now you're trying to get into the Jeremiah Smith sweepstakes, which I don't have a problem with that either. And of course, it looks like that's going to be the Arch Manning sweepstakes too, because they're talking about him not coming out early. He might stay as long as possible. So anyway, it's just like you want to 2027 first. That sounds fun. I got no problem. I mean, if you want to value that at just as much as a 2026 first now, even though it's farther away, I got no problem if you want to play that game. CJ Stroud, Jerry Jeudy, and Dalton Kincaid here, those are placeholders of value. If Jerry Judy's not your guy, that's fine. If Dalton Kincaid's not your guy, that's fine. But Dalton Kincaid has value. Jerry Jeudy has value. So that's just kind of like I picked that trade to show like that's a trade that if you're going to move off Genty, that's what it needs to look like. You get a guaranteed good player in CJ Stroud at a quarterback premium position, and build off of it like that. A first round pick, CJ Stroud. If Kincaid's not your flavor, that's fine. But like that's kind of what you need it to look like at a bare minimum.
Right. And so to me, like I don't really love that trade because I don't want Jeudy and Kincaid in that trade. But what you're saying is, guys, somewhere in around that value, another tight end premium, like right now, Dalton Kincaid's, still a 6th through 8th round pick, and Jerry Jeudy, kind of similar in that area, probably more of a, 7th to 10th round pick in a lot of cases, right? So there's a bunch of other guys around there that you could swap that out. Like if I'd rather like if Ricky Pearsall was in that deal instead of Jerry Jeudy. I was
about to say that. Yep, swap out Jerry Jeudy for Ricky Pearsall, and if you're not a Kincaid guy, that could be TJ Hawkinson. That could be if you get lucky, it could be one of the young guys. It could be Tucker Kraft plus. You don't. It could be George Kittle, and you could just ride George Kittle out for 2 years.
Yeah. So even this trade doesn't blow me away for saying I definitely want to do that for the 101. But the theory behind kind of how you're breaking it down, a first, an anchor quarterback, which I know we both like Stroud. The value's down a little bit on him, and maybe that's the part that I'm getting a little hung up on. But then if Jeudy and Kincaid were, like you said, Kittle and Pearsall or some other tight end in there, throw them in. If for some reason you were able to get Hawk in there, I would probably like that deal maybe a little more, but just because again, value down on Kincaid, but big time players, that you can start a big time player and a pick is
this time last year, CJ Stroud was screaming right. So the offensive line fell apart. All the wide receivers at different points in the year got hurt. So like they just retooled the wide receiver group. If they didn't say anything, they said, we're going to give CJ Stroud some weapons. They brought in Christian Kirk and back-to-back 2nd and 3rd round picks on the wide receivers, So like by the 3rd or 4th week in the season, Genty could be crushing it, but like CJ Stroud would be like, we're back, baby. And that, you got CJ Stroud, you got your quarterback who's just as valuable as Genty when there's 7 quarterbacks maybe taken in a startup before Genty anyway,
right.
And Stroud was leading that pack last year. Stroud was like the 1-2, 1-3 last year. So like that's Jaden Daniels now, that new hotness, right? So Stroud fell off a little bit, and when he comes back this year, it's just a nice buy low on Stroud. I'm not saying that's the exact trade that I want either, but like that's what it needs to look like. That's like you need to get a lot. That's if you took Jerry Jeudy out and put Ricky Pearsall in there, and Dalton Kincaid was coming off of a 78 catch rookie season, 77 catch rookie season. Dalton Kincaid, this time last year we were like, oh, Dalton Kincaid's going to have 100 catches. Okay.
Right.
Well, he didn't, and he got hurt, and he got banged up, and they switched coordinators and stuff in the middle. Like they're called Dalton Kincaid could have another 80 catches this year coming up. That's not 100, but 80 catches will put you in the top 6 of tight ends all day long.
Right. Yeah. So, moving forward, kind of another trade on here is Gibbs and Montgomery for Tank Dell in the 101. And that's basically, if you want to look at that the other way, to say I'm taking the 101, I'm going to get a solidified stud and kind of moving that 101 chip right into place for basically Gibbs this year. And then as a consolation, you get Montgomery. That's kind of another way to look at dealing with the 101, either a bunch of stuff like you just got there that could help build out a team, or just go solidify a known stud.
Well, that's exactly what I looked at when I saw that. I was like, okay, because almost every time Gibbs goes in front of Genty anyway, if somebody's like, I'm taking Genty because he's the best running back he's going to be the best running back in NFL by week 3 and whatever, like I'll take Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery for Genty right now. Mm-hmm. Because I mean, yeah, if Genty's better, I'm giving up the idea of somebody better than Jahmyr Gibbs. I'll take Gibbs and David Montgomery as a icing on the cake and be guaranteed. I'm sure Genty's going to be just fine. But Gibbs is we already know what Gibbs is, and if anything, do we think Genty's going to get the passing work? Well, we think so, but Jahmyr Gibbs, with the way, I mean, he's basically the next Christian McCaffrey. Right. So maybe Gibbs doesn't have the route running chops of Christian McCaffrey, but we want him to be the next Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
I'll take Dave Montgomery on top.
All right. Let's keep it moving here. We'll move over to the 102, and I don't know if we'll get to every pick in this draft, but we're going to give you some examples and thoughts of kind of the pick. So 102 and the 311 for Ladd McConkey. So basically Amarion Hampton right now, as we talked at the beginning of the episode, is a lot of people's 102, and then you get plus 311, and then you could take what already in Ladd McConkey.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I mean, Ladd's a stud, and he's getting so much love, and it's hard to get somebody to trade away Ladd McConkey right now. I've had some guys coming after some of my Ladd McConkey, and I'm like, no, get away from my Ladd McConkey. Yeah. But he's a stepping stone up to a first round startup pick. And if Ladd McConkey, if you're giving Ladd McConkey and you can add something to it, you got a good chance of getting somebody really, really, really valuable. So that's what I was thinking here with this trade. This is a tough one, and I honestly don't even know which side I would take. So
but that's right.
That's kind of showing the value of Ladd McConkey and the 102. It's a really good side by side trade right here.
Yeah. All right. Next one's just picks. We got 106 and the 206, right? For the 102. So, like we kind of started off saying, in this version of the rookie draft that we're in right now, I don't see a crazy difference between 106 and 102 for me personally. So, moving back and just picking up a free 206, which could be Jaden Higgins, could be Trey Harris, could be one of the other tight ends not named Loveland or Warren. Pick your poison. So, a lot of options in there in Superflex tight end premium at 206, right?
Yeah, definitely. And this is a trade. This is a trade that I saw all weekend long. Mm-hmm. I saw a bunch of trading from 1.4 to 1.7 and getting 2.5, trading from 1.2 to 1.5, 1.6, 1.7. This is a solid trade in both directions. And if you need a piece, if you're a winning team and you just happen to trade around and you have the 102 and you're a good team, or you've ended up with a 102 and a loser's bracket type thing where you just missed the playoffs and, all your good players got hurt and a couple of them got healthy at the end of the year and you got the 102, maybe you just want to try to take, Hampton or Trey Henderson, or, if you want to try to trade up, going from 2 to 6 is pretty fair game to grab 2-6. I like that trade for both sides.
Yeah. Next trade, we got Jaden Reed, who is a big buy for me right now, and Patty Mahomes, which is a ginormous buy for me right now, and Devontae Adams in the 102. So to me, that's an absolute smash on the on the Mahomes Reed side.
Completely agree. I think that a lot of people won't see it as a smash, and that's why I wanted to throw it up there, because if you could trade that 102 and get Patrick Mahomes, that's what you need to be doing. Like, don't take advantage. Rookie fever season is here. I love rookie fever season. I love some rookies, man. I just had a whole bunch of rookies drafted this weekend from FFPC, and some of it we just traded around and got some really, really good players, veteran players that I know is good at the same time, and took advantage of rookie fever. This is a good example of that. If you can take the 102 and turn it into Patrick Mahomes, you didn't blow it. And I'm not saying that Aaron Hampton's blowing it. Cam Ward's not blowing it like that, but there's zero questions asked. Patrick Mahomes plays, and he plays for another 8 years until he gets tired of playing.
Yeah, that's easy. And then, you had talked to me today about basically 102 for Caleb Williams. That's all day for me. I'm taking Caleb Williams.
Exactly. I got I traded a 102 today for Caleb Williams, and it was glorious.
Right. All right. So we got the 103 moving back to the 104, picking up a 2026 too, right?
I like
all day long.
Mm-hmm.
All day long. And in some drafts, that wouldn't be enough, right? In some drafts, you'd be like, oh, I'm just getting a 2. Bro, I need way more than that to move back from CeeDee Lamb to Jerry Jeudy,
Yeah.
Right. And I'm just picking that draft because I'm pretty sure those 2 were in it. And we know how that played out. But Jeudy might have even been ahead of CeeDee Lamb for some people in that draft. But you know what I mean? Like sometimes even last year, if it was, the difference between for some people for Malik Neighbors going at the 103 and then, falling back to Drake May, and then you didn't like Drake May or whoever it was at that point.
Or Rome, if it was a 1 quarterback league and it was like, there ain't no way I'm getting off, or whatever. I'm taking Neighbors. I'm not moving back 1 pick. Yeah, exactly. Good point. The way I look at it is like, if you're at 3 and you want to take Travion Henderson, or like if, you don't know, you could get a 2nd round pick and trade back and still get Travion Henderson. Right. Obviously you could get bit like that. But like, if you're at 3, you're looking at somebody's probably wanting Tet, but somebody wants T-Mac, and somebody wants Trey Henderson, and somebody might, want Travis Hunter. So like, that's all I'm looking at. I'm like, all right, well, I kind of want Travion Henderson here, but I'm 80% sure somebody's going to take a wide receiver here or Cam Ward. So I'm going to take the 2nd round pick and move back to 1-4. And then Travion Henderson goes, and I'm pissed. But I got an extra 2nd, and then I do what I got to do,
Right. All right, we got 103, and this one's moving back to the 112 and picking up the 201. So not picking up 103, moving all the way back to the back of the round, but you're picking up basically back-to-back picks at the very end of the round here. So to me, I don't know if I'm quite doing that or not. What do you think?
Yeah, this is like, you want to have Tet McMillan on your team, or you want to have like
Loveland and Dart.
The difference, right? Well, maybe that, but like 112 could easily be RJ Harvey. Like, it could be Caleb Johnson. It could be Loveland. Like, it's going to be like, it's going to be one of those guys, or either you got, if you look at it like that, or either like you're getting stuck with Emeka Egbuka, right? Mm-hmm. If you get stuck with Egbuka, then you're getting stuck with, Jackson Dart and Emeka Egbuka with like worst case scenario. And if that's okay with you, that's a great trade. And if it's not, I probably would stay at the 1-3 and do something different, but I can definitely see why. And I've seen some drafts where like at 112, RJ Harvey was still there and Jackson Dart still there, or, like Luther Burden and RJ Harvey, like that could be so nasty.
Yeah, I mean, it does come. If it was Caleb and Dart, or Emeka Egbuka and Matthew Golden, like the old 2-for-1 there, and 2 shots at guys who aren't. I think there's a tier break there, but it's not 2 or 3 tiers like maybe for me in some years prior. So maybe a little closer, but I'm probably sticking at the 103 and trying to do something a little different there.
Yeah,
All
if
right.
I made that trade and when and all the guys, the top 11 guys that I like, including all those running backs and both the tight ends are gone, if I had to take a Buka and Matthew Golden, I would wish I didn't make that trade.
Yeah.
But even though both of those guys could be awesome.
It could depend on how my team's set up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that all comes into it too, depending on what your build is at that particular juncture and where you are. All right. We got the 104 or Brock Purdy, Superflex tight end premium.
Yeah, that's a good one because you want rookie fever or you want a guaranteed quarterback in the league that's about to get $50 million a year to play in Kyle Shanahan's scheme, right? So
give me Brock Purdy.
Yeah, are you gonna?
If I need the quarterback, right? Unless I'm set up with, already 3 good quarterbacks and whatever. But other than that, I'm give me Brock Purdy, man.
So I'm going to say, if you want my 1-4, I assume, and I'm going to say you're going to need me give me something twinkly, give me something a little sparkly in addition to Brock Purdy to make this trade. If somebody wants to trade away Brock Purdy, they're not a believer, right?
Right.
So,
Cam Ward or Brock Purdy. You need a quarterback. They're sitting there. You're like, all right, I'm at 1-4. I could get Brock Purdy here, or I could select Cam Ward.
It's a perfect example of what the way you just ended your last argument about this is like if I need a quarterback and my team's down bad and I just had some bad luck, like that team, if I just need a quarterback so bad I can taste it, I'm taking Brock Purdy. If I got 2 good starters already, then I'll take Cam Ward.
Yeah. In this last mock we're doing,
just because I want to, if I don't want to have any, I can't miss. If I have the luxury of missing, I'll take Cam Ward just to say, hey, there's a chance that something could go wrong with that trade. But Brock Purdy is not missing.
Yeah. We don't quite have ADP. Probably by the time this comes out, we'll have some new FFD startup ADP. But in this last draft that a bunch of the guys from the FFD are in one of the mocks, Ward went at 306, it looks like maybe. And Brock Purdy went 4-5. So some gap in between them there. But I think they're pretty close. And I think what you're getting is one guy is going to be sexier and have more highlight plays. So that might appeal to the public. But we kind of know what Brock is already, so like you kind of said. So, all right. We got the 104 and for the 106 and the 206, essentially the same trade we just saw earlier, right?
Yeah, I see I've seen a bunch of these in the last in these rookie drafts. So that's like if you're trying to figure out what to do, that's a very common thing that I'm seeing is the trading back 1-4 to 1-6, give me the 2-6. Like that's happening a lot. I think it's going to be harder to get one of those early 2s out of somebody, but a mid 2 is being given up all day long to move around, to jockey around in those picks in the middle of the first round. So I typically enjoyed getting the extra 2-6, but like if you're somebody if you're gonna be heartbroken when Travion Henderson goes at 1-4 and you get stuck with Judkins at 1-6, that's not a problem for a lot of people. But if that's a problem for you, you might just need to take Trey Henderson. He could fall to you, but he's going earlier than some of the other guys for the most part.
Yeah. All right. This one's a couple pieces in it. We got Jonathan Taylor and Devonta Smith on one side. We got Calvin Ridley, the 104, and a 26-2 on the other side. I'll take the Jonathan Taylor and Devonta Smith side over there. I do love Calvin Ridley this season, but not enough to deter me away from, I think, the other side right now.
Yeah, if you don't like trading too much and you just need to get something done and somebody sends you Jonathan Taylor and Devonta Smith randomly or 2 players that are kind of like that, that's an easy trade to say, I got 2 good NFL players that I know are going to be good and play for a long time. Like that's really the easy part. If you like to trade around and make work out of it like I do, you could probably trade back from the 1-4 and end up with maybe more than those 2 pieces. But that's a nice, quick, easy accept to say, hey, I got 2 really good. I just put a one running back and a wide receiver on my team I can trust.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. All right. This one's one, if you have 2 picks kind of near each other in the first round, this one was 104 and 105 together. So 2025, 104, 2025, 105, Superflex tight end premium. And then on top of that, Nico Collins and Aiden O'Connell. So kind of a nothing burger in the quarterback situation, but could be something. Last year, Big Co was starting Aiden O'Connell in a championship.
And I won.
For Malik Neighbors and Lamar Jackson. So the trade in totality, 105, 104, Nico Collins, Aiden O'Connell for Malik Neighbors and Lamar Jackson. Absolutely a smash on the Lamar Neighbors side.
100%. Like, obviously, like you said, just for listeners' purposes, just pretend like you didn't even hear Aiden O'Connell. It's Nico Collins and the 1-4 and the 1-5 for Malik Neighbors and Lamar Jackson. That is that trade really happened. I don't know any context around it. It's rookie fever definition trade, right? So like you obviously the person who gave away Neighbors and Jackson got a couple picks. They're in love with those picks. Nico Collins is a solid name, but if you can do a package like that to go up and get elite assets, Neighbors and Jackson, got to do it all day.
Yeah. I agree 100%. That's if I got two of those picks in there, like, I like going to see what I can explore with these picks, especially a tandem like that, and see what the upgrade for guys that I already know can do work in the league. And that's smashing out of the park. Yeah, you might not have went in there thinking you were going to get rid of Nico, but you also didn't come in there thinking you were going to get, two potential top 3 to 5 scorers either. So, there you go. All right. Well, 106. We got a trade here. 106 and 410 for Achan.
Yeah. How you feeling about that, Casey? What? I got a team where I got the 1-3 and the 1-5, and it's the second year that we just played. It has nothing to do with this trade, just like before. I got the 1-3 and the 1-5, and I won the championship last year. We started 2 years ago. I did Productive Struggle, second year championship. And I will be doing a video about that. Me and you will be for the Patreon people. And the draft's next week. So I'm literally looking into something just like that, trying to figure out how I can give a two-pick tandem situation like that for some monster studs on a team that I just won. Seems unfair to have a championship team and have the 1-3 and 1-5 the next year.
Yeah, that's set up for potential super team in making. But yeah, I mean, I guess I would probably take the Achan side there. So
yeah, me too. The Achan thing, the Miami offense fell apart last year, and he was still anytime that they actually had their starting left-handed quarterback in there, he was a top end running back, like top 3, top 5. He was crushing it. So the catches alone keeps him in a tier of running backs, like consistent points per game fantasy wise, that a lot of running backs can't get to. And obviously he still has the 4.2 speed to blow up when he gets to the lane. He just got hardly any rushing lanes for Miami last year.
Yeah.
That's a good rookie fever. 1-6 is fun. It's so hard to trade away 1-6, but if you can get your hands on Achan, you got to.
Yes. Yeah. When I first see it, it made me a little, but then as we sat here, I was like, oh yeah, I guess I'll take the shot on Achan for sure. All right. We got the 107 now and a 2026 third rounder for the 108, the 208, the 308, and the 408. So somebody traded the 107 and a third next year for somebody's whole draft, moving down a pick, 108, 208, 308, 408. That's probably
That's crazy looking. But the reason I put that on here is because, like, the psychology of it, somebody has been, that 108 guy was probably trying to trade up for Travis Hunter for 3 picks in a row, right? Or something like,
right. Whoever he likes.
Trey Henderson's his guy. And all of a sudden, Trey Henderson's on the board at 1-7. And he's like, there's no chance he doesn't get picked now, and he just clicks all the buttons and he sends it over. It looks egregious and I probably wouldn't do it, but I can guarantee you there's been times in my life where I'm like, there's no chance. He fell 2-3 picks. I've been trying to trade for him. There's no, his name is glowing on the screen. It's at the top of the ADP list, and there's no way somebody's making a pick and it's not him, or somebody else is trying to trade in and take this guy from me. That's the psychology of what happened there, I believe.
Yeah, I like that. All right. Next one, we got Garrett Wilson straight up for the 107. Give me Garrett Wilson.
I think so too.
I like that. I like trading for Garrett Wilson right now. This one is a trade back, or a trade up, however you want to look at it. Garrett Wilson, the 107, and a 26-3 for the 101.
Yes, sir. That's what you got to give up for Genty. That's how you got to get Genty. You got to get a stud like Garrett Wilson. Obviously, it didn't end up for the Jets like everybody wanted it to last year. I guess not everybody, if you're, Bills fans and stuff like that. But the 1-7, when that pick gets on the clock, that's going to be fun. Everybody at 1-7, there's so many good players still on the board. Everybody's salivating because there's just not enough picks before that to get rid of all the really good, fun players. So you could take your 1-7, add Garrett Wilson to it, and maybe even try to go get the guy that's already picked Genty in the draft. You could say, hey, I know you just got Genty, but Judkins is still on the board right here, and here's Garrett Wilson. And that way your team really sucks. You don't have Genty's he's up there by himself. Here's two starters or whatever. Maybe it's not Judkins, maybe it's this guy or this guy, but hey, here's a really, really, really good player and Garrett Wilson. Let me get your Genty.
Yeah. Well, there's a bunch of different ways people end up with the first overall selection, right? And a bunch of different ways. You can come to the conclusion of who should get the first pick, whether it was a trade, whether it was max points for, whether it was for toilet bowl, whether it's just straight up NFL worst team gets Genty. So there's a lot of different reasons that somebody has the 101. So you just never know. Never know. All right. We got 108 and Rashee Rice for Nico Collins, 304 and a 27-3.
Yeah, I'm taking the Rashee Rice side for me.
Ooh,
I love
a big Nico guy.
I'm a big Nico guy, but I think this right here is just obviously like, the Rashee Rice guy was scared, I see the guys on Twitter that are the attorneys, and they're like, don't worry about Rashee Rice getting suspended this year. There's a lot going on there. There's a million witnesses and yada, yada, yada. So like the police department can't even get their act. Like there's not enough organization because it's such a big deal. He's not even getting suspended this year is what the guy on Twitter says. And then the other guy on Twitter is like, look at the way Rashee Rice is running and moving and doing this right now.
He looks great now.
He looks, physically he's good. He'll week one, not a problem for Rashee Rice. So like, to me, if Rashee Rice didn't get hurt, he could easily be above Nico Collins. As good as Nico Collins was, obviously Nico Collins went on the IR too. So like, if he didn't miss half the season, with his hamstring, he could have had 15 touchdowns too. So I mean, if you remember he got hurt on the first drive of a game where he caught a 75-yard touchdown. So like he wasn't even warmed up yet. Good, NFL like game speed warmed up. The first drive of the game, he catches a 75-yard bomb or, catch probably 60 yards and then ran 20 yards into the end zone or something like that. And then blew his hamstring on the way because he was just throttling cats and full speed. So Nico was having another coming out party. He was going a nut. Everything that went on with the Texans last year, those first 4 or 5 weeks of Nico Collins, I had this over 6 touchdowns or 6.5 receiving touchdowns. That was like the only player bet that I made. And because I was so big on what Nico was about to do, and he had like 3 touchdowns in the first 4 weeks, and he was crushing, and he went out and he came back and he got it for me. Nico was blowing up. I'm not slighting Nico on this trade at all, but Rashee Rice plus the 1.8, a Colston Loveland or a Judkins or a Caleb Johnson or a RJ Harvey, it's just it's a tips the scales. Yeah.
No, we all think over here at the FFD, if Rice plays, he finishes as a top 5 wide receiver for the season, right? Value's way up on him, and both guys got a little something, added to that room, getting a little more crowded. So yeah, I like it. All right, here we have let's see, 109 or Terry McLaurin. Now, to me, this is just 109 Terry McLaurin Superflex tight end premium. To me, this is just about where you're at with your team, whether or not you like this trade or not, right?
Sure. And I could be in win now mode all day and still not want to take Terry McLaurin for the 109 right now.
You probably, depending on what the other couple of good teams look like, it's probably a good idea to. It sucks to not take. It's not nearly as fun to just take Terry McLaurin and he's old or whatever. But I mean, you just got gifted Jaden Daniels and him for at least, probably 2 more years of elite production counting this year. So he could really push you over the edge there.
I agree with that. I'm not saying he couldn't.
But
I think once you get away from the rookie draft, you could probably still find a way to get him. Like,
I mean, you could trade a next year's first for him probably.
You during your rookie draft, the guy that has Terry McLaurin is like, no way, I'm not selling him for a first round pick next year. I want somebody in this draft. Okay, well, just wait till the draft's over, and then there's no chance he can do that, and all those options are gone, and they're on different people's teams, and then you're like, all right, if you're selling Terry McLaurin, you're obviously most likely not one of the top 2 teams in the league to be a contender, because then you probably want to just keep him.
Right.
He might have helped you win last year or this or that. Or if you're looking to the future and like, I'm so studded out, Terry McLaurin can't even make my lineup anyway. Let me just go ahead and play I'm gonna be good now and set the clock back, game. So there's buy Mike Evans in 3 months, for a lot cheaper than this. That's kind of,
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's cheapest to buy veterans in the offseason, like older guys before the season starts. But if you're the seller, you want to go the opposite way. But,
and I would give you, I'll give you your props. I'll tell you when you're doing real bad over there, Casey. But you've been real consistent about what Terry McLaurin can bring to a team that's trying to win. And for every time I got a chance to say I wouldn't give a first round pick for Terry McLaurin last year, you were like, I would, and he crushed it, right? So like I'm gonna give you your due there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like Terry McLaurin can't help you win a championship in April, in May. This is the first week of May. You ain't winning no championship today with Terry McLaurin. Are you going to pick a player at 1-9 that's going to be good? I don't know. Right? Like that. Right. So you're not getting it wrong if you trade the 1-9 for Terry McLaurin, because he's really good and he's got a quarterback that can find him deep balls and keep the chains moving, score touchdowns, all that fun stuff. Like the offense, everything for Washington's on the way up.
Yeah.
It's not a bad trade either way you want to look at it.
Yeah. All right. We got 109 for the 1-2 for the 1 next year and the 2 next year. So basically just moving out of this pick for a first and a second next year at 109.
Yeah, the two things I see for this, and we'll make this one quick. If you're a really good team, or if your head's in the right place for Dynasty and you're, let's call it a home league, or you're zeroed in on this league or something, and you're like, all right, well, I can get Casey's first round pick next year, and he sucks. Like in the way, it's the way you get the 1-1 is by being the worst team. Like, all right, I'm gonna get my 1-9 now. It's not any fun, but Casey's team, there's no chance he's going to be better than the 1-2 next year. So if I get my 1-9, it's going to be for Casey's team. He's the worst Dynasty player I've ever seen, and I'm gonna get that 1-1 or his 1-2 next year. That's the deal.
Your dreams,
right? So, and the other one is, I've just won another pick this year, and I'll give you my first and second next year for the 1-9 because I want to come in here and get RJ Harvey and have him on my team and help me win a championship. I'll give, so a lot of times I'm giving that 1 and 2 for that 1-9, but I'm not doing it if I suck.
Right. Of course.
Okay.
All right. We got the 110, the 410 for Chase Brown.
Boom.
You like it? Chase Brown.
Yeah. Chase Brown.
Surviving, baby. So you like that move to move over to Chase Brown, get somebody that you know has been putting up RB1 points for when he got his chance.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about it before the draft. All the people on Twitter saying, "Hey, all these you top 30 visits for all the top running backs and this and that," and we were all like, "Nonsense." The only thing that could make it even seem plausible that the Bengals draft a running back in the top 3 rounds of the draft is because they are the Bengals and they're that bad. Like Correct. that was a good conversation that you came up with. Was the only way I could see it actually happen is because they're that dumb and they don't know how to do football yet. They ain't figured it out yet. So like that was the only thing. All the other stuff we were talking about was, dude, let's just use some really easy logic here. They gave all their money to their quarterback and his favorite and his friends. And they don't have any money left over for defense. And when they took 3 defensive players in a row in the draft, that's what the people on the panel were talking about. This is a really good move by the Bengals because they paid up all. I don't even know if I would have paid all those guys if I was them. I don't know how you pay a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1 kind of money and still build out a defense. I don't know if they literally were saying what we were saying a month before. So Chase Brown, let's go. You think he's going to have all that experience with Joe Burrow and the offensive explosion that they saw down the stretch, and then they're just going to start back next year and forget how to do that? Like, Chase Brown could be better than he was last year.
Yeah, I like it. All right, 110 and 202 for Rashee Rice. That's a smash Rashee side for me.
Yeah, I like it. I'm taking Rashee Rice too.
All right, and moving on to 111, we have a 27 first rounder for the 111. What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, I love this one right here. Like, I'm buying into the 2027 hype myself. I don't watch a ton of college football, but watching the playoffs and this and that. And if you're into Dynasty at all, like, or if you're into college football, you're big on Jeremiah Smith already. But like, that's the kind of stuff I like to draft rookies whose name I knew the year before. Like, I because I don't watch a lot of college football. So like, the guys that just pop up out of nowhere, that's not usually my favorite way to go. I want to be drafting somebody that was good enough for me to know them.
You better take Ollie Gordon then.
A year in advance, right? Exactly. And it's not a perfect science. That's just something.
It's not a perfect.
Ollie Gordon could get you here, and then over here, you just threw me off with the Ollie Gordon. I had the perfect thing over.
Sorry.
No, not Cam. I mean, Cam Ward blew up, right? Cam Ward wasn't a QB1 last year coming out. Obviously we knew about Travis Hunter and stuff, but like RJ Harvey, right? RJ Harvey, I didn't know who RJ Harvey was last year. I'm sure you did, but I didn't. But Sean Payton puts his stamp on him. I don't need to know anything else about RJ Harvey. I'm good. So that's just, the one of the 2027 first round picks right now, I can get on board with trying to find a way to get an extra 1 or 2 of those. I'm not selling the farm for them because you could end up, that could be the 2027 1, 9, 10, and 11 that you end up with, and you sold your entire team for not Jeremiah Smith,
Yeah.
So, and then the Alabama receiver and Arch Manning, those are the top 3 picks. So if you don't, I don't mind having 3 2027 first round picks, but I'd love to get them off of Casey because I know his team sucks.
Yeah. I can go, like you said, either way on that. If I have a pretty youngish team that's looking like it's ready to turn the corner and be good, I could forfeit the 27 pick. That gives me even 1 more year to build this thing into a monster.
I'm gonna tell.
Or I can see it the other way.
Let me power up that argument. It's like the team that I was talking about, that where I got the 1-3 and the 1-5 coming up, and I just won the championship. And my starting lineup is the best lineup in the league, and I got a couple starters on the bench, and I got 2 first round picks this year. So like, I could give you my 2027 first. And part of a deal, I'm about to have a super team, right? Mm-hmm. So like, I'm giving away in this league. I'd be giving away that I'm talking about right here. I'd be giving away the 2027 like 1-9 or worse, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not giving you I'm not giving you Jeremiah Smith. This ain't Arch Manning, Bo.
Right?
Like my team is too good for if that's the case. Then in those types of leagues, this is a show in itself here. If you in those types of teams, and you might only have 1 team that's a super team. You might have 3 super teams. You might not have any super teams. But if you have a super team, now you go out and take advantage of the 2027, Arch Manning, Jeremiah Smith show. If you're selling tickets to that thing, but it ain't front row seats.
Right.
I'm if you have a ticket that is going to be nosebleed, you could get top dollar for it in the next 6 to 10 months here while the entire fantasy football and college football and NFL community together celebrates Jeremiah Smith and Arch Manning. You know what I mean?
Right. All right. 111, Khalil Shakir, and 312. Give me the 111.
Definitely. This right here is for the people that don't really care too much, and they log on when they're drafted after their buddies are like, dude, you're on the clock. You haven't looked at this league in 6 months. I don't even know why you're playing. And he's like, give me Khalil Shakir. I saw he's nasty. He's a great receiver. He just got paid by the Bills. Give me Khalil Shakir. Somebody send him that offer and they take it. right?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with getting Khalil Shakir, and he is pretty nasty, and he's more of a gadgety guy that I made that joke about last year. I was really just trying to make you upset, trying to make him Jacoby Myers, 2.0. But yeah, and I'm down to get Khalil Shakir, but don't take that trade right there and give away the 111 just because, obviously if you're zoned out, you probably don't have the 111 because you didn't get second place. But who knows why you have the 111? If that's what happened and that's the context of that trade, don't do it.
Yeah. All right. And then we got some 112s to wrap this thing up. Cortland Sutton for the 112.
112.
112.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna stay in that 112 area all day long. I like Cortland Sutton, and he's very underrated. And I've been big Cortland Sutton guy over the last couple of years when everybody was down on him. But just the depth of this class, Casey. They can't hold them all in the first round. Like I could take 112 and get somebody really, really good right now, and I can buy Cortland Sutton from you later for a lot less than 112.
Yeah, and it's super flex tight end premium. Like all these trades have been the same scoring system.
Good point.
Throughout. So yeah, I guess I'm pretty much with you. I could see being like I'm a studded out contender. I'll just add one more. I need 3 wide receivers. I'll forgo a Buka here to take Sutton and just know that I got a starter for the year. But most cases, I'll take the 112.
No, I see what you're doing there, but like if you take a startup, I can give you 18 rookies right now that are going to get drafted before Cortland Sutton.
Ooh, 18.
That's all there is.
Stretch, but
no, it's not.
Well, I mean, I could. Let me see where Sutton just went.
Okay, pull it up. I'll go to the next trade while you're doing that. I guarantee you there's 18 in front of them. I didn't count either. That's off the top of my head. So we got Chris Olave for the 112. Now there you go. You got the concussion.
Well, Chris Olave.
Huh?
Chris Olave.
Exactly. That like Chris Olave is not like, Cortland Sutton. He has injury situation going on, but like it hadn't been very long ago since Chris Olave was somebody that people were selling the farm to get on their team. And obviously we're going to need 17 games of no concussions here. And we obviously got some quarterback situation going on right now in New Orleans, but we also have a new offensive coordinator / head coach, and we are going to be throwing the ball and we're going to be losing. And we play in a dome, and Rashid Shaheed's supposed to be healthy. So, like, defenses can't just lock in on one guy. Shaheed's an actual threat. I love buying him low, too. And I think this is a super low pick. I mean, we've seen Chris Olave be a 15-point per guy type wide receiver and, 16 points a game. So, like, I'll give you the 112 for Chris Olave, and you might not even have to do.
No, I don't think you need to. I think the value is really, really down on Chris Olave. Seen in the startups, this is probably an overpay for Olave, and there's probably a lot of people screaming at their phone or into their whatever right now, saying you don't have to do that. And I agree. But I think Chris Olave is a very good receiver. He's just been banged up and had some quarterback issues, and we still have a little bit of a quarterback issue. We don't know what's going on here. So I get it. I would like to pay less for Chris Olave right now, but definitely a buy for me.
Because I have a
visceral reaction is saying, give me I'll take Chris Olave because I'm quite sure how I know how good he is, and I know the problem with Dynasty is people turn their back and forget that real quick because he's in and out of the lineup or doesn't do live up exactly, and he didn't come out and be neighbors right away, or he didn't come in, but like he's had some really good strong runs in some seasons. If he could he's got to stay healthy, but probably an overpay here. So my going backwards, I would pump the brakes a little bit, not quick a reaction as Olave for the 112 here. But I think inevitably he is worth that. I don't think I would pay that right now.
Okay, agreed. So if I can tell you that I got a super team, I can also tell you that I got a team that I can't get right. I got a team that there ain't nothing I can do to actually get the picks right or the trades right, or it's just a snake bitten team. So like if I got Chris Olave on that team and he's had his bell rung like he did last year, apparently people believe he's going to go out there and play and be just fine. And that's probably going to happen. But if I'm put myself in the shoes of my team that I cannot just get out of my own way and make the team good, I can't make the team good. So I'll trade you Chris Olave for, when Tyler LeWarn slips down to 112 in the tight end premium league. I'll take that. I'll take that all day. Luther Burden sitting right there.
Well, a lot of these guys right now are all going ahead of Chris Olave. Like Olave's is slipping in our drafts, like seventh, eighth round sometimes.
Sure.
So a lot of those guys are going before him.
I mean, go back 3 months ago when we were doing some of those mock drafts, or maybe the Monday mock draft live. Like
he was probably like
as soon as
rounder.
I said when the NFL draft happens, there's going to be so many running backs and so many tight ends, and there's so many rookies that the rookie fever is going to be so strong. They're going to come in here and push some really good veterans down. And then you put a concussion problem on top of it. And obviously outside of those first couple weeks for the Saints offense, it was dreadful. After the first 2 weeks when they were the best offense in the league, they turned into the worst offense in the league. So Chris Olave's got a couple of factors of stink on him. Plus they don't have a quarterback. So I give you three-headed monster of why Chris Olave isn't a threat right now. Mm-hmm. So I see what you're saying, but if you got a team where you just have been snake bit, I can get out of Chris Olave. Otherwise, I can definitely be buying low on Chris Olave.
All right, James Cook or the 112. I think I'm going James Cook there.
It feels like James Cook, don't it?
Mm-hmm.
It feels like James Cook.
We don't have a contract secured there, but seems like they didn't draft anybody else really. I like Ray Davis, and we like who's the other third down back they got there? Ty Johnson. We like those guys, but seems like Buffalo's gonna do it again, like Buffalo's been doing it. They added kind of a bunch of other redundant pieces, Elijah Moore to go with Shakir, to go with Palmer, and then Keon's kind of the only kind of different wide receiver it seems like they kind of have. And then Cook goes in there, and obviously there was a high TD variance last year, but
for sure.
I think he fits really well with kind of what they're doing. Josh Allen seems willing to take a little less, so that could mean that they could pay a running back that they trust a little bit in Cook.
This is the argument that I have every season about teams not meeting the salary cap. Like, especially the Buffalo Bills are dying to win more than to conference. Like they're just salivating to go to the Super Bowl with Josh Allen and get through the AFC. Pay James Cook. I'm not saying give him $50 million guaranteed for the next 5 years, but restructure something and give him a lot of money this year. Who cares, right? Give him $15 million this year. You don't have to give him guaranteed money for 3 years. Pay him handsomely. He played well last year. He plays great on this team. He plays great with Josh Allen. And why wouldn't? I mean, he was electric. He was one of them. He was a huge engine for your team. He was more of an engine than all your wide receivers put together.
Sure.
So like, if I'm the Bills and I have any cap room, I don't know. I didn't look at the Bills cap room right this second, but I'm telling you right now, I would pay James Cook if I'm the Bills and not let him let him get out the door.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, this last one, you got up a trade. Well, I'm not really sure why anybody would do this, but you got Kincaid, Olave, and 112 for Justin Jefferson.
This is a don't do that if you got Justin Jefferson trade, and this is you got to send an offer if you want to get a deal done kind of thing sometimes. Like somebody might look at you, somebody might send you a DM if you send Dalton Kincaid, Chris Olave, and the 112 for Justin Jefferson, you could get back no thanks, or you could get back that's a dumb offer. If it's me, I'm not going to say that's a dumb offer anymore. I'm not going to talk to anybody like that because there's only so many trade partners. There's, if you get a bad offer, just say no thanks or thanks for the offer. I can't make this work, etc. There's a lot of ways to answer it without calling a person dumb. But Chris Olave, Kincaid have both had their times in the sun here, and they're both young enough to have more time in the sun. They could put their bathing suits on and sit out there. And 112 is fun. I'd do that all day long for Justin Jefferson. So again, I don't know if that was a $500 league or a $5 league. So, but it's worth a shot. You got to shoot your shot and got to make an effort to get the Justin Jeffersons of the world without trying to give up the Malik Neighbors on your team to do it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we'll end it with go figure out, get an offer out there to maybe get something going, and if you get the negative guy who's a jerk back, who's like terrible, and then he sends you some dumbass offer,
just go to the next team.
It's not a great trade partner, and that guy doesn't really understand the you can get frustrated with some bad offers here and there, but then I send a fair offer back. Or send it a little bit. I send an undervalued trade back. You send an overvalued trade over that isn't wildly crazy over. That's like almost a joke because you're mad I sent you that trade. And maybe we can find something that we meet in the middle. And so you never know. So I like it. All right. He's Big Co. I'm Casey. We're the FF Dynasty. We're out of here. See you next time.